Hey, it's Biddy Penny. Welcome back to my channel. This is not another Halloween card series, and this is week 3 of this series. And this week, as promised last week, I'm not using any Halloween products at all. This is strictly a week about color inspiration. So, I went on Instagram, I searched Halloween cards, and I had loved this one from Sharon. She's on Tim Holt's Makers team. And I'm just pulling up some examples here from Instagram of different really strong colorways. But I am casing Sharon's today, yes, I'm casing Sharon's, okay? But I'm just going to show you these. I mean, this is a great way to pull up specific inspiration. I know a lot of people use like Pinterest as well, but I like this a little better because I can connect directly with an artist. If I find someone, I can follow them. And so that's why I kind of choose this way. But here are just some different ones that I thought had a really strong colorway, and that's what we're casing today. So today I'm not using any Halloween products whatsoever. I'm just using color, and then I'm using things in my stash that I've never used before. A lot of them are new. They're from my birthday haul, but not all. The plants that I chose to use in my card today are actually almost probably a year old now, and but I haven't used them much. So I'm just giving my stash the love it deserves by using it. All right, are we feeling inspired? Can you tell the direction I'm going? I'm definitely going with pinks and yellows and grays. Here are the products that I'm using today. These top 2 from Dina Wakely are from my birthday haul. Here are the colors that I'm using: Hickory Smokes, Twisted Citron, I think Mustard Seed, and Worn Lipstick. And the first thing I'm doing is using a stencil and a brush, and I'm just gonna brush in some of these colors. You wouldn't have to have the stencil at all to get the result that I'm going for today, but I have it, I'm gonna use it. And I was still deciding at this point exactly how I wanted to pull this card off. I didn't have this tape down at all. I don't have any of the grip mats or anything that seem really cool, but I don't have any of those. So I'm just got a glass mat. I have a piece of Canson XL watercolor paper on it. This paper measures 6.5 by 4.5. I'm making a 5x7 card. And I had watched a little of Craft Roulette, and I think my card might actually work for Craft Roulette too. So I'm going to submit it for Craft Roulette this week as well. This card's got so much purpose. Anyways, now I'm going in and adding the yellow. And basically when my pink and yellow mix, I will get the orange. So the casing card from Sharon that I was loving was, all those little Tim Holtz images, and I loved her colors that she chose. And I think like a bright green was in there, but I'm not sure. But I think I saw maybe another card that had a Twisted Citron kind of color to it, a bright lime green. So I wanted that in the mix too. I really love these colors together. I did bring in another gray. And I was obviously, when you look at this, the composition of this piece, you can tell I wasn't really paying attention to where I was putting color. I was just putting color down. So, don't stress about it, or be really like systematic about it, whatever you want. But I just was putting color down. One idea I had was to only distress the sides of the circles. So leaving my stencil on, laying some paper down, and distressing the side circles. And then I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to distress this whole thing, and I'm on watercolor paper, so I'm going to really saturate this. And I'm so glad I did. I love the results. I'm also glad I let my distress kind of soak into the paper a bit. I wouldn't say it was like completely dry or anything, but I really kind of let it soak in so that I just have some running color between my circles here. I'm bringing in these flowers, and I'm going to be stamping 2 of those onto my background. I'm doing a lot of embossing, heat embossing on this card. I don't normally do a lot of heat embossing, but I wasn't sure how mixed media I wanted to go. And I was thinking, well, depending on how I end up wanting to color these or deal with these, maybe if they're just in gold, I won't want to do anything to them. I did decide to heat emboss them. I am using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I love it for heat embossing. Unless I'm using a glaze, I use VersaFine. If I'm using one of Tim Holtz glaze embossing powders, then I will use a clear embossing powder ink, or if I want to use the dauber, because I really like that Tim Holtz dauber. All right, so I'm doing what you've seen people do a million times before. I'm melting the embossing powder. I mean, possibly a million times before, but I know some of you are new to this craft, which, by the way, welcome all new card makers to the card making hobby. Try not to get sucked into all of the things. Our card making hobby is very focused on products, but you just don't have to be. I would say if you're brand new, focus on techniques. All right, that's it. I'm just going to say that. I'm going in with a fine liner pencil, and I wanted to add a real sketchily look to this background and define these wonky shapes again. These like rounded squares is about the only way I can describe them. And I'm doing it with like this maroon pen, and I'm so glad I did. That to me really pulled this background together and made it what I had in mind when I set out on this adventure. So there's that. And now I get to play with these Dina Wakley faces. I love Dina's faces. And by the way, I know I've mentioned this a couple of times on my channel, but she did a whole series during the pandemic where she was really breaking down like her products, how to use them, how to draw faces, how she draws faces, you know. I revisit that series of hers over and over again when I want to play with the scribble sticks, when I feel like they haven't been getting the love they deserve, when I'm wanting to experiment and draw faces or do different things. I go back to her series. They're just so good. So I embossed the face, and now I'm going in with these Prima Vintage Pastel watercolors, and I'm just going to color in this face real rough. I didn't lay down any water. I want it to be patchy, like my face. And now I just want the painterly, I really want the kind of artistic look to this card. So that's why I gave the background the treatment that I gave it. And I think that that's what ties in this whole card so well, is like choosing a real sketchily, painterly kind of face, watercoloring it. I have these sketchy, painterly flowers that I chose, and then the work that I did on the background. I just think it brings it all together and it makes sense. So now I'm going to paint my flowers, or leaves is really more of what it is than flowers, with the same colors that I used on my background, again, to bring everything together, to have a cohesion. So that's what I'm going to be doing here, is just using my same colors. You know, one thing that I've always loved about Halloween card making is I feel like people go outside of the norm. Like you might follow a card maker and and you watch them all year long. I feel like in Halloween is when you see someone go outside of the box of their normal card making. They try new techniques. They get all grungy. They go mix media. They do things that they don't typically do. And I find that to be very inspirational. And I think we can take that and adopt that and carry that throughout the year in our card making. So that's why I wanted to do this series. It wasn't because I don't like Halloween cards. It was because we get such a punch of inspiration for that particular holiday. And I think a lot of it we should take with us throughout the year. If you find it fun, you might try it and not enjoy it, and then I don't think you should do it again. Only do what makes you happy. But I think that we can look at this holiday and card making and take certain techniques, try new things, get out of our comfort zone, and make some cards. If you don't like it, then, then don't make it. Like, I don't know, like it's just paper and glue and ink, which I'm sure we all have plenty of. And so, it's no harm in trying it and stepping outside of your box to see if you can discover something that you really do like. I really wanted to move that doily up, but it all works out in the end. I had glued it down so well. That was a little mini doily from Doodlebug. And I don't know if Jamie at Not Too Shabby still has them in her shop, but she had the whole rainbow, and I bought a few packs about a year ago. And I just love them because they're small and dainty. You get like 75 in a pack. And I've always liked doilies. So now I'm using these plants in her hair. I was doing a live on my channel. I did 2 lives last week on my channel, and during one of them, I had someone sweet in the chat, and she was talking about how she likes to make hats, like crazy wonky hats, handmade. And so she kind of inspired me in a sense too when I was thinking of how I wanted to finish off this face. I was like, let's give her an amazing flower hat. And then I brought in my Posca pen, and this is what I'm using to add white accents. You guys, I threw away my white gel pen. I had a Signo and I could never get it to work. So glad I bought it in a 2-pack, not. So I finally just threw it away because all it did was cause me frustration. And I bought a Posca pen, and I'm very happy. It works like a charm. So I'm just adding multiple little dots to kind of each rectangle. And then I'm doing some lines and coloring in, not fully. I don't want my flowers to be completely opaque with this white pen, but I did go in and add some lines and some details to them just to make them pop from that background a little bit more. This is my 5x7 card base, and I am going to stamp it with one of my most used stamps from Spellbinders. This is one of their like sketchy handwritten ones. I don't think they sell it anymore, you guys. I don't even bother putting this thing back in its sleeve. I just keep it on this plastic sheet, and I keep it at my desk. That's how much I like using this. I should probably really invest in some more background stamps like this. But for now, this one's serving me well, and I really love it. There's no chance of really reading what's on it, which makes my brain happy. I'm not big on the ones where you kind of can read them, because then that's what my brain wants to do. It wants to read everything. So I like it when it's just messy enough that you can't read it. I did decide to go ahead and pop this up. And you guys, I really wanted to like distress the edges of this. I'm sure you already know that. But one of the Craft Roulette parameters was, I think it was sophisticated, I think. I had to go soon after they spun. But yeah, so I thought, well, if I'm going to submit this for Craft Roulette, probably battered edges of the card is not sophisticated. Okay, I had these scraps on my desk, and this is why I'm an advocate, if you can handle it, for really not cleaning off your desk. Like, just keep everything out, because I would have never thought, oh, let me put some metallic, tiny rectangles on this card. But because they were there and they were shining in the light, I thought, hey, let me put those on the card and see what happens. And I love it. They really tie in the gold embossing. They capture the light. They kind of emphasize that graphic background a bit more. And then I did also add a sentiment. I really felt like that anchored everything, so it worked out that this card was kind of bottom heavy once I added that sentiment. Here is the final card. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you'll look at Halloween cards in a new way and be inspired to make your everyday cards. All right, you guys, I'll see you next time. Bye.